Hello and welcome back to the channel. So today I wanted to make a video on Xaku Prime, because Xaku Prime just came out about a week ago at the time of recording. So my build for Xaku, I would say, is probably an overall pretty average build for Xaku, but for our Aura mod, we have Brief Respite, so that the energy that we use on our abilities gets converted into shields, which is pretty good for survivability. I like it. And then we have Overextended for some more range at the cost of strength, Adaptation for damage resistance, Transient Fortitude for ability strength, but we lose it a little duration, Flow for more energy, Prime Continuity for duration, Equilibrium, Umbral Intensify for strength. If you don't have this, you can use regular Intensify, and then Stretch. If you don't have Prime Continuity, you can use the regular, and then if you aren't a big fan of Adaptation, you could also slot in Rolling Guard here. Some things to mention with his abilities before I go into them. Once your range, you want to try to get your range up to 270%, because that will max out the weapons that you can grab from with your 2. But with that being said, let's take a look at his abilities. So Xaku is pretty interesting when it comes to Warframes. Your passive, you take 25% damage reduction on AoE attacks and a chance to avoid incoming weapon damage. Your first ability is, I would say, a really, probably arguably one of the stronger damage buffs you can get for your weapons, next to like Roar. And it puts void damage for all your weapons, basically. And mine with this build here is 30%, but as you upgrade your mods a little higher than mine, this does get bigger. Your 2, you shoot out void tendrils, and they'll steal weapons from enemies and disarm them. And then they will do damage based on your ability strength, and I believe they are also affected by Zada's Whisper, which Zada's Whisper also scales really well with multi-shot. And I'll show you when we go looking at it, but Zada's Whisper will also put like an almost mag bubble on the enemies when you hit them, and all of your shots will go to where the bubble procced, which I believe includes these shots from your 2. Now your 3 is pretty interesting because you have 3 abilities that you cycle through. You have Accuse, which makes it to where it'll do a big AoE, and some of the enemies in the area will be converted into allies, and they'll fight each other. Gaze grabs a target, and then it will do like a mini armor strip, so you kind of want to double stack it. I'll show it more when I'm in the area. And then Deny shoots out a beam that'll lift enemies up into the air, and then if they're a sentient enemy, it'll remove any resistances they have built up. And then your 4, the Vast Untime, you blow off your armor and play as your skeletal form, and then while you're running around, all of your abilities are paused, so they're not going to have their cooldown fully reduced. So, I've got some enemies spawned in here. Let's grab some energy, and I'll show you how these abilities work. So your first ability is Zada's Whisper. You activate it, and you can see now we got this like mud on us. And then when you shoot somebody, you'll proc the Void status effect you can see above his health bar, and the bubble will activate. And then if I shoot up here, the bubbles are, the bullets are hitting him still, even though I'm shooting there, because they're redirecting to his head. And then that's that guy. Now your second ability is Grasp of Lock. You'll grab enemy weapons from nearby enemies, and it will shoot like auto turrets. And then your third here is Gaze, and you see we grab this guy, and then I'll show you Deny. We'll come over here, fire it in a line, and it lifted up everybody who is in my line of sight. And then Accuse, let me walk into the middle here, there we go. And they're not moving, but you can see the ones with the glow are the ones that we've transferred to ourselves. This one's got that blue on him, but this one doesn't. The blue is the one that's on our side now. And then for your 4, let me activate my abilities all again. So you can see I've got my timers going, and then I hit 4. They get blasted with the armor. I'm playing as the ghost now, or the skeleton. And then you can see down in the bottom right, my cooldowns are paused for the whole duration. And that does include your 3 as well. You can see it's paused there on the right side. And then with Gaze, you can see it does a little bit of an armor strip. And I believe it does more armor strip the more strength you have. But mine does a 50% with this build. Once your mods are higher, it should do a full armor strip with two targets in the Gaze. Yeah, that's a little synopsis of what Xaku does. And this build should work in Steel Path because that's what it was built for. But yeah, we'll jump into a little Steel Path mission, and I will see you guys in a second. Hello and welcome. So now we're in Steel Path. I came to the Zeramin because something I forgot to mention also is Thrax enemies, like the ones here in the Zeramin, are weak to the void damage that you do with your abilities. And then I also finally got Zeramin, so I can help restore my energy a little bit. So Xaku is an interesting one, which I don't know if I'm really a big fan of Xaku now that I've played them. But, so basically, I don't know, for me, Xaku's playstyle isn't my favorite. But you can see here, we took all the enemy's weapons, and then we'll throw out a Q's. Now these guys are on our side. And then we can Vast on Time. It's weird to me there's Corpus here. I don't think I've ever seen Corpus in the Zeramin before. Those are our friends. The Accuse reminds me kind of Nova's ability, where you can, or not Nova, Nyx's ability. And, where you bring them to your side or whatnot, and then you make them your allies. It reminds me of that, to be honest. Alright, let's grab this guy with Gaze. Oops. Here we go. Let's grab this guy with Gaze. Here's a Thrax enemy. Let's go ahead and pop our Incarnon. Here we go. Let's get rid of this guy. There we go. My companion went down, but that's fine. We'll reactivate Zada's Whisper, jump in here and steal their weapons. Drop an Accuse so they're not attacking us anymore. And then we'll Gaze someone. There we go. Then we'll Vast on Time. But yeah, so that's kind of the loop with Xaku. You want to Accuse your enemies so that they aren't attacking you instead of attacking each other. Activate your 2 to steal weapons so that they can't attack you, even if they did. And if they did have a ranged weapon, it'll force them into melee instead. And then you want to Gaze. Oh, here's a Thrax. Let's take down this goober. There we go. And then you just want to kind of keep Zada's Whisper active at all times, because Zada's Whisper is your big damage boost, so you want to keep that active as long as physically possible through just proccing it regularly and the Vast on Time. Steal some weapons. I don't have enough energy to Vast on Time, but that's fine. Just dropping a Q's here in the doorway. There we go. The one downside is you can, if you do turn enemies, you can kill your own turned enemies. And then we'll Vast on Time here, so everybody gets affected by that. We'll get knocked down because it's cool. There we go. We'll get knocked down again. I will say if you do have something like Prime Surefooted, throw it on here just for Steel Path so you don't get knocked down by Eximus and stuff. And then if you want to, you could also throw on, what I'm planning to, is throw on Power Drift in your Exilis slot. Because Power Drift will give you a 33% chance, but it'll also give you some more ability strength until I get my mods leveled up a little more. Let's get rid of that guy. But yeah, that's pretty much the rotation for Xaku. And then where you get Xaku, if you don't know, like most primes, you just farm them from relics. The best places to farm your relics, I would say Hepit, I believe, is really good for Lith. Uko is good for Mezzo and Neo. And then I think it's on Uranus for Axie. I could have the relics mixed up, but those are the missions that I ran to get all the relics for Xaku Prime. And I got Xaku day 1 on release. But, yeah, that's my build for Xaku Prime. Let me know if you have any suggestions on stuff I should try out for Xaku in the comments down below, because I've been reading pretty much every comment. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Consider subscribing, and I will see you in the next one.